Hi, welcome to Just Another Land Cruiser. My name is Cimarron, and today we will be going over my BJ40. It is a Costa Rican import. I did go down to Costa Rica and look for it myself. All right, so let's talk about the type of vehicle that you're going to see the majority of down in Costa Rica, and odds are it's going to be something very similar to this one. This is a 1977 BJ40 that came with no power steering, no power brakes, no roll bar, nothing extra on the interior. It is just a bare bones 40 series. And that's exactly what I wanted, so it was a perfect place for me to go to find something that I can bring back to the US, work on it, make it roadworthy, and get it under budget. Now, you're gonna find a lot of vehicles that have a bunch of shoddy work. Down there, they got these things and they used them as what they were intended to be, a work vehicle, a tool. Driving around down, you're gonna see these on the road, still hauling coffee, still hauling goods, or people just use them as their daily driver. All right, another thing you're gonna notice is when you start looking, you're gonna see things in pictures and it's gonna look all pretty, and you're gonna be like, oh man, for $7,000 I can get that. And I did that. First thing I did, I saw the price, I saw the picture, and I was like, oh man, why are we paying $20,000 here in the States when I can go down to Costa Rica and get it for $7,000? Well, when you get down there, you notice, just like here, the picture is different. You get down there and you start feeling around on things and you're like, oh man, that's a piece of shit. I'll pass on that one. So it takes some time. All right, so what I'm gonna document, and I'll probably take 2 or 3 videos to do this. I wanna do a video on just what to look for. When you go down there, you're ready to go look at some cruisers, you got your fixer set up to help you out, or you know somebody down there, and what are you looking for? What's different down there that they do to these things that's not done here? And there is a lot. They are awesome at hiding stuff down there. I will admit that. As much as the good cruisers I saw down there, I saw some crap. And I saw some crap that looked really good. And it just, you gotta know what you're looking for. You gotta get the, I just want a 40 on the cheap out of your mind, because you'll go down there and you'll get a big piece of shit and you'll get it back here and it'll be sitting in your garage because it's not roadworthy and you don't know how to fix it, or now you're gonna double the cost by fixing it yourself or taking it to a shop. So you gotta watch out for those things. And then I want to do a video on the actual costs. Show you what I went through to purchase the vehicle, what I went through to get it to a port to get imported, and then what I went through to actual paperwork to get this titled here. And then I'm going to do a video on what did I need to do to this thing to make it roadworthy. Now on this one I added power brakes. I did not add a power steering. I realized that having no power steering in this thing wasn't a problem. Now, if you're gonna put big fat tires on it, yeah, you're gonna want power steering. If you're gonna run the skinny tires like me, I found power steering was not needed. And I drove this thing from Austin to Colorado with no power steering, and I wheeled it in Colorado. I did Black Bear Pass with no power steering. So that kind of tell you, if anybody's been on that trail, there is a lot of tight turns, and I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't have to muscle some of the turns. A regular 3-point turn maybe turned into a 5 or 6-point turn on that trail. But I made it no problem. And I was actually, when I got done, I was like, man, I just did that in this thing that had no power steering. I'm awesome. It was just a good feeling, just for myself, you know, mentally, something I did. All right, so I'm gonna do a little quick walk around on this vehicle and just kind of show you a couple things that I haven't touched yet that you're gonna find in Costa Rica, and we'll go from there. All right, so first off, what are you gonna find on the interior of these things? Like I said earlier, they're bare bones. You're gonna have a 4-speed transmission, a transfer case lever, a big old steering wheel with no power steering, a parking brake, and some gauges. And you'll also have a cigarette lighter just like here. You're gonna have windshield wiper, just the old pull lever. Basically has two speeds. You got low and high, just like anything from the 70s and 80s that looked like this. Jeeps were the same way. You will have washer. That was still standard back then. You will not have hazards. You can put that in. I have not added hazards yet. It's not a requirement in Texas, at least for diesel safety inspection. So I'm not too worried about that right now. Another little cool feature is when you turn off the vehicle, it is this. This is how you turn off the vehicle. You can turn the key, you can pull it out and the engine's still running. Pull this lever right here, engine shuts off. And it's kind of a nice theft deterrent because I leave it out when I go places, and without that pushed in, you cannot start this with the key. It just sits there and turns over and turns over. This actually manually shuts off the injection pump. I actually like that. You do not need anything to start this thing. You can get in without a key. If you had a hill, you can roll it down the hill, pop the clutch, and go. So that's about the basic interior you're gonna have. There is nothing, no frills, nothing. No AC, actually, and also you will not have a heater in a 40 series found in Costa Rica. I live in Texas. I can get by in the winter without a heater. I actually have one. I just haven't installed it yet, but I get by. I don't care. I rarely drive this in the winter unless it's a nice day. Texas is not that bad. So besides the early morning commute to work, that's really the only time it's cold. And a lot of times I don't even put the doors back on in the winter. I just put on a jacket. By the afternoon, it's in the 60s. It's perfect drive home. All right, let's move on to the engine. All right, so as you can see, it is a basic little bitty B diesel engine. This was the factory Toyota option on these things. You can see that I have added the power brakes. You won't have that. It'll just be a master cylinder on the wall. I replaced the radiator. It actually had the original radiator still in it when I got it. And I replaced it just as it looked like it had been repaired several times. And that's mainly what I encountered in Costa Rica, was that most of them are still running factory everything. They maintain it, they fix it when it breaks, and some of their fixes aren't that great, but it's not that bad. I mean, they still running for 40 years on these things. All right, so one thing you're gonna notice when you're down in Costa Rica, and you may not notice it there, but you'll notice when you get your cruiser back to the States, is a lot of them down there, they don't run thermostats and they don't run coolant. The temperature there in the tropics, so they don't have to worry about freezing temps, and they only have to worry about overheating. And they just run straight water, no thermostat. And I didn't notice that. I knew that they ran water when I was down there. I actually talked to one guy, one cruiser I looked at. He was very proud that he ran coolant. And he told me that about 10 times when I was looking at it. He was like, oh, I run coolant. Nobody else runs coolant. And, but unfortunately, the engine looked great in his, but the rest of the cruiser looked like shit. So I just passed on that one. Now, I noticed when I went through maintenance, when I got this one back here, that it did not have a thermostat. I had a new one ready to swap out anyway. So after I do the cost video, then I'll get into what I went through to get this, what I consider roadworthy. And roadworthy to me is stopping like a modern vehicle, your lights work like a modern vehicle, securing any safety features that it didn't have, that like a roll bar. I actually installed a roll bar in this one, and because it didn't have one, I wanted to drive without a top, and without a top on, you got to have some sort of bar. Even the factory bar is better than nothing. And I actually do have a full cage that I will be putting in eventually, but for right now it's way down the list of projects here I have in the shop, and I'll get to that eventually. All right, so if you've been thinking about going down to Costa Rica and getting yourself a cruiser, subscribe to the channel and be ready for my next videos, because I'm going to show you exactly how much it costs, what you're going to have to go through, and all the fun stuff of when you get your cruiser here, how to make it roadworthy. Because these things were never meant for US superhighways. So there's a lot that I consider safety features that they don't have down in Costa Rica that you need here. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot.